A strong back forms the foundation of your upper body, but how can you go about training different regions of your back? A common question I get is how you can train for more back width and back thickness. By targeting different muscles of your back, we're able to change the appearance of your back muscles and make the back look wider or increase its thickness. So in today's video, I will discuss how you can approach your back training to shape your back musculature. First, let's look into the concept of training for back width or back thickness. Usually when people talk about back width, they refer to having developed lats that wrap around your back region. When back thickness is the objective, people often refer to having developed upper back muscles that pop out and look thick from the side. It's worth mentioning that there's some overlap here. Having developed lats can also make your back muscles look more thick, while a developed upper back region can also make your back muscles appear wider. But generally speaking, we want to focus on lats development if a wider back is the goal, and upper back training if a thicker back is the objective. A common belief in back training is that doing vertical pull variations like pull-ups or lat pull-downs will help you create a wider looking back since it trains your lats more, while rowing variations like the barbell row or cable rows are more focused on improving back width because the upper back is worked more. However, whether a rowing or pull-down variation is more focused on the lats or your upper back region is completely dependent on how the exercise is performed. This brings us to the first and most important tip when it comes to training for back width versus back thickness, and that's to consider your elbow angle as you are performing your back exercises. A training rule we want to consider when targeting any muscle group is that we want to make sure that the resistance runs in direct alignment with the muscle fibers we're trying to target. So if we look at your lats muscle fibers, we see that these muscle fibers run diagonally down. Therefore, to train the lats muscle fibers, we want to make sure that we incorporate movements that align your elbow angle with these diagonal lats muscle fibers. This basically means that performing pull-down and rowing variations in which your elbows are somewhat tucked inward will target the lats more. So with both horizontal and vertical pulls, we're able to train for more back width by developing your lats, as long as we make sure that our grip width is somewhat narrow. To train the upper back muscles, the opposite applies. If we look at the muscle fibers of your traps, they run more horizontally. The same goes for your rhomboids. The muscle fibers run horizontally across your back. So for upper back stimulation, we want to make sure we do rowing variations with a wider elbow angle. A flared elbow positioning during rows will target the upper back well. A wider elbow positioning on vertical pulls will also challenge your upper back muscles more, since now the resistance runs in line with upper back muscles like the teres minor, teres major, and infraspinatus. This goes against the common idea that you need to do wide grip pull-downs in order to increase back width. In actuality, a wide grip pull-down will focus more on your upper back muscles, and you could argue is actually increasing your back thickness. In essence, if you want to target your lats for increased back width, focus on pull-downs and row variations with narrow elbows. To grow your upper back and realize more back thickness, focus on pull-down and row variations with a wider elbow positioning. Most people will probably want a combination of a wider and thicker back, so incorporating a variety of pulling movements is beneficial in this case. If I look at my training, I aim to incorporate 4 types of pulling motions in my routine. I incorporate 2 rowing variations at the moment, a wide grip barbell row and narrow grip cable row. I also have 2 vertical pull variations, a wide grip weighted pull-up and close grip bodyweight chin-up. This way, I'm able to work on both back width and back thickness while training the back muscles from a variety of angles. If you're looking for balanced back development, incorporating wide and narrow grip horizontal and vertical pulls into your back routine is something I would definitely recommend. With that said, there's more to back development than just doing a variety of pull movements. Especially if increasing back thickness is your goal, there are 2 specific back muscles we need to consider. These are your traps and spinal erectors. Let's first start by discussing traps development. Having well-developed traps is something that will directly contribute to your back thickness. A common statement in powerlifting is that the true sign of strength is having big traps. This is because carrying heavy weights and doing challenging deadlift variations will challenge your trap muscles as a whole. If your primary goal at the moment is to increase back thickness, here are 2 simple tips you can use to further improve your traps development. Next to wide grip pull-downs and rows, also incorporate wide grip shrugs into your routine. A wide grip shrug will help you challenge the upper trap muscle fibers more. Research shows that the wide grip shrug is more effective for upper back stimulation than a narrow grip shrug. The second tip is to incorporate an exercise that involves holding a heavy weight. The traps act to stabilize your scapula and neck, so when you hold a heavy weight during deadlifts, the traps will get worked well too. If you have a heavy deadlift in your routine, then this tip will typically be covered just fine. But if for some reason you don't have deadlifts in your routine, look into doing heavy farmer's walks for more trap stimulation. Now, another muscle we want to consider when increasing back thickness is the goal are your spinal erectors. This is a thick muscle that runs from your hips all the way up to the base of your skull. The spinal erectors stabilize your spine whenever you are in a bent over position. So exercises like bent over barbell rows, deadlifts, and even squatting variations will give the spinal erectors some stimulation. I like to incorporate at least one barbell bent over row variation in my routine at all times to give the spinal erectors some extra work. If you do this on top of some squats and deadlifts, your spinal erectors will typically develop just fine. So to sum up this video, with narrow grip rows and pull downs, we can work on back width since this will develop your lats to a greater extent. With wide grip rows and pull downs, we work more on back thickness since now your upper back muscles get developed more. For even more back thickness, training your traps through shrugs and having at least one bent over row variation in your routine for the spinal erectors is beneficial as well. And that was all for today's video. I hope you now have a better idea on how you can adapt your back training to target different regions of your back. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Also, if you found this video helpful, then leave me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video.